Doing level 14. Are the images that you're showing there in the community right now?
Yes, I just popped 5 of them in there.
Okay, let me go hop over there. I will screen share.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. So same thing as the others. We'll roll through this one because we're looking to move towards sphere 2. So just tell me a little bit about them. We don't have to go super in depth, but just especially what I'm looking for is any challenges that you were having or things that you feel like you need help or clarification on. And then just, how happy you are with the image overall. And if you're not, what you feel needs to be worked on in order to get it. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So tell me about this one.
All right, so these are all from the same shoot. It was a day where we photographed 3 different models in multiple outfits. So for this one, we went outside. It's mostly for the jewelry, which is kind of hard to see in these ones, but this is kind of an overall shot. The idea was that the artist wants these pictures to put on her website as kind of like a fairy book inspired or fairy tale inspired look. So you get kind of that whimsical story, and then you go into her webpage and see her work. So this one, we just found this tree outside, and it was February. It was gross. It was a gray, like terrible looking grass, and but it was a bright sunny day, and there wasn't any snow, which is weird for here, but we were lucky. So I found this tree, and it had a hole in it, and I thought, well, that'd be a great place for a door. And so we shot it. So I've manipulated the color, and I've added in the clouds or Photoshop brushes, and then I took an HDR layer and put it on top. And so I just kind of want to know how successful you think it is. Like, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm excited to show the girls. Like, I haven't seen it. The models haven't seen it.
Okay.
They're both cosplayers, so I'm pretty sure I think they'll like it, but I don't know how the clouds work. This is my second version of it.
The clouds I like, especially if they're Photoshop brushes, which is something that I don't play with a lot. So, I do have a big collection of clouds and good skies that I can pull from if I shoot something where the sky's really boring or dreary. But it works. It is a little cartoony, I think, in the sense of them being perfect white puffy clouds against the blue sky kind of thing. So I don't know that the image overall is believable as one, but it also depends on what you're going for. So I could definitely tell right away that it was a composite and that there's areas that are cut out and put in, but with the oversaturation and the super, super green grass that looks like it was just tripping on Miracle Grow, and the super blue clouds and the big puffy, white, like it kind of looks like it's supposed to be over exaggerated, which almost makes it work as sort of the piece together composite. If you were going for believability, as far as they happen to be in that green field with the door and the clouds and everything was like that, if you were trying to sell it that you got all that in camera, then I don't necessarily think it's as much of a success. You did really good cutting out the tree specifically, which is hard because we have like all this texture with the bark. So you did good cutting that out. You lose it here because the light on her light hair, you're catching the shadows of what was actually behind it. So we're getting like a really sharp cutout here. The ears look great, and this side of her body works really well. It's really just the hand. Let's see. Yeah, it's the hand right here. Some of the light on that is just not matching up with where the light is behind. And then the shadow, and then if you look really close, you have this little like halo of light right around, but then her bangs get really dark, and you can kind of see that follow along her nose and her lips there. So that for me, and same thing on this side. And something that you might consider if you still have like the PSD is just going in with like the eraser brush, and I would put it at like, 0% hardness and maybe like a 50 to 75% opacity, and just go and soften these lines just a little more along the edges, and that'll help blend it. But overall, like the cutout of the door is great. I don't see any haloing around that. Maybe a little bit right here around the edges. And that's always the giveaways for composites, are those little halos of light that end up around things. You can see it a little bit here on her cheek.
I actually didn't cut the tree out. That's actually the tree from the day. Like that's
right,
that's
but the background is added.
No, it was a really bright sunny day. So what I did was kind of in there up to like her shoulder
Okay.
there was these hills and a couple of there was a barn and a fence and stuff like that. So I photoshopped all that out. I posted the original in our group when I first put my first version up. But I think the haloing probably comes from like manipulating the sky so much and then trying to put the clouds in and then taking them out and then trying to put them in. And
probably. And okay, well now I'm less impressed because I thought you went through and cut all this out, and I was really impressed.
I know.
So
I wish I was that good.
But karma points for honesty. But yeah, they're just little halos that I'm catching around bits and pieces that are giving it away.
Yeah, I definitely noticed it.
Making. Yeah. I'm usually not a huge fan of the oversaturated sort of cartoony color, as evident by the fact that they call all my work Lark Sepia, because I tone down everything. But I think that it works here as a whole of the image. I'd like to see just a little bit more definition and shadows in her outfit. And usually like a good judge, well, it depends. If she's only putting this on her website, then I think it works. But a good judge for print is to take your brightness and turn it down to about the halfway point. Because we're so used to seeing screens now that are backlit, so they pick up a lot of shadows that won't show up in print. And for fine art kind of work, I'm always looking for how it's going to print as well. I love the styling. I like the energy that they're giving each other, and the posing is almost there. I think the Mad Hatter kind of feel is fine. She's a little dwarfed because you have the skirt, so we can't see any of her lower limbs. So she just looks really, really short, like midgety. So usually when you're working with a lot of fabric, especially if you want to have her sit or squat or bend down, just pulling up the fabric a little bit so that we can appreciate some of the leg will help to at least tell the story, because right now we have no idea where her legs and feet and knees are under this.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The door works. You did a good job of inlaying it with the shadow and adding that in. And I like the punch of the color. However, if it is for the jewelry, it does not work because you can barely make it out.
Yeah. No, this was more because you have the business questions that I have for you kind of a little bit later also have to do with this particular client. But she has all these ideas where she really wanted these like elaborate fantasy images to put as like enter her website, like go through the Wonderland door, like that sort of thing.
Okay.
And so I was kind of going with like, you know, like the Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland, like really trippy, punchy color, because it's the Mad Hatter's costumes inspired by that.
Right.
So I was like, and the Alice cosplay is from a video game, which is pretty dark. So I was like, well, that's why I was kind of thinking like that kind of surrealist, really bright, really crazy color.
Yeah. I think that works totally. I just think even if it's a full shot, like at bare minimum, if we're just going to get nitpicky of it and we're going to sell it, this should not be behind her coat breast, behind the vest.
Yeah.
So it's still got to be featured, and it might be something as small as it's not around her neck, it's on her hand here, leaning on the tree. Which will make it more interesting. Another way to get the viewer to pay attention when you're doing product photography is to have the model look at whatever it is that you're showcasing. So if Alice, instead of looking at the Hatter, was looking down at the brooch and bringing a finger to it, that would bring your attention to the necklace. Same thing. If she had it and was hanging it off the tree, it would draw interest just because you'd be like, well, what is that in her hand? Whereas it gets lost as an afterthought in the costuming right now and gets overpowered by the rest of the costumes. So, but at minimum, it's little things like making sure that the necklace is visible. So you can do it. I understand what she wants, but also keep in mind that your potential clients are running with ideas, and it's your job to take what they think is possible and figure out how to make that a version of what they're envisioning, but successful for what they're trying to accomplish, which are sometimes different things. My husband's very good at this when I go to him and go, look, I want tables suspended hanging in the air invisibly. And he's like, well, we can do that with 2x4s and you can take it out later. Yeah. So it's a mixture of the two, because no matter how great they are as images, if they don't sell the item, then it's not going to be successful as an investment for your client. And if they're not getting any sales off of the images that they're paying you to take, then they're not going to rehire you. You know? Okay. So tell me about this one.
So it's just another quick one. So we were just doing some fun ones outside to kind of get that storybook feel. So then I took a couple of Alice in the Mad Hatter, and I really wanted to do up, because I've got several of the girl that cosplayed Alice. So I wanted to make sure I get a couple of the other girl. So I did this one up, and I kind of just tried to give it that like punchy feel, so that it'd be more like Mad Hatter in Wonderland, like that it could be the Mad Hatter in Wonderland type feel. So that's kind of where this one came from.
Okay. I love the styling. I love the motion that we're getting here and the little like ribbon off the hat. Her body language and interaction with the camera is great. Same issue at bare minimum, since we're featuring that, make sure that this is on point, that it's dead center and clearly visible by it. You know, little things like I'd go in and touch out like the break in the shirt.
I totally didn't see that till right now.
Yeah. And some of it's angling too. There's little things like it's hard when you're working on bright sunny days with the hat. You need to be on the other side of the tree right now. So you have all this light coming here. You needed to pull her over and shoot from you being over here pointing this way, so that we don't get this triangle of light on her. Because aside from it being like really harsh lines of light, it's also completely taking away the edge of her face and jawline coming forward, which she doesn't have a very strong one either. So now that we're in post and it's done, I would say go in with your dodge and burn and just sort of dodge under and create a little bit of a shadow along the line of her jaw, just to separate her chin from her neck a little bit, because this fades in almost perfectly. Like you almost can't see it, except for the fact that we know it should be here. So, and it's subtle. Like chances are you'll do it too much. I'll say, put a new layer on and make it an overlay with 50% gray, and retouch it. And then you'll probably back the opacity off until it looks right and doesn't look like you went and painted a black strip under her chin. So yeah, the light on her face, this is a big no-no. If we had just switched her hands and had her tilt the hat this way, you wouldn't have had that, just because of where the light's falling on the tree. And that's, I can't tell you how many images I have where I don't catch that until afterwards. Like we had one wedding party where they were like, oh, you know, you always find a big tree and put them under. Well, we got dappled light through all the branches, and I have lines like this. They look like Picasso people, like just harsh highlights everywhere. So, and it's extra hard too, because you probably would have got almost split lighting, but you're getting the shadow from the hat coming across the bridge of her nose too. So it's adding to it instead of distracting away from it, which is why it's such a weird little shape of light. So it comes with experience, you know, but it's the kind of thing that photographers will pick out and somebody else won't even think about it, like normal people that aren't like us. Because they take pictures outside all the time and have that light, and they're just used to seeing it. So they probably won't even like pull it out. But you should be paying attention to it because it makes a big difference.
Yeah, I didn't even think to like flip her, like take her around the tree or anything. Like we were just, it was so cold, and I was like, I should have been more. This was kind of at the end when they were like, okay, we're really cold. I want to go back inside. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, just a couple more. And then we went back, and I was having problems with my camera that day where I realized that it was set to like 1800 ISO internally. Like it wasn't set on the dial. It was actually set in the back of the menu, and I have no idea how that happened.
Oh, that's
So
always fun.
like the first batch of them were like garbage. Like there's basically no way to use them. And then by the time we got out to this random field that we found, I was like, oh, uh-oh. And I fixed the camera, and I was like, okay, well, at least this is the beginning of the day. And,
Yeah.
but
Um,
do
I
you think they're both like something that I should show them? Like they haven't seen them yet.
Yeah, I mean, really, like I would show them because I've learned over the last couple of years that you don't do your clients thinking for you. Chances are that they'll love them,
Mhm.
because they think differently. But I'm telling you so that you can pay attention for the next time. And there's little things like adding the shadow here will define her
Mhm.
jawline. I would do that before you show her. Same thing.
Okay.
What extends is what catches the light. So like on her elbow here, because it's extending outward, it picks up all the light. And because this is receding backwards, it doesn't. Same thing with her face. Because her cheek extends out, it catches the light because it's coming out further than the brim. But the hat causes the shadow on the rest of the face because the hat is out and the face is backwards. So anything that you want to minimize as far as weight, you want to make it look like it's receding. And the easiest way to do that is with shadow and light. So if you came in and dodged under here and burned a little bit and darkened up right under the breast line to about here, it will naturally make her waistline look smaller too without you
Okay.
doing any kind of liquify or anything else, just changing it because the eye reads that the shadow is what's further back than what's out in the
Okay.
light. So, like you'll notice it a lot if you go through any of my images with boudoir. They all have beautiful highlights on their breasts because it makes them look bigger without me actually accentuating or liquefying or doing anything to change them. Same thing, their stomachs are always darkened because that's the way that we read light. So,
Okay.
okay, tell me about this one.
So this is some of the jewelry ones that we did in the artist's house. So she was there and working with me just because she had very particular ideas on how she wanted everything to look.
Okay.
So this happened to be one of my favorites from the day. The model herself was really self-conscious of her teeth. And anyway, I thought she was absolutely gorgeous. So I'm really excited to show her this because she's so lovely, but she was just so anxious.
Mhm.
And she had a lot of problems with like clenching her jaw. So I
Okay.
kept trying to get her to open her mouth and then close it and just relax. So this was one of the more successful ones. And I
Okay.
really liked how it turned out.
I love the coloring with this one. This one accentuates the jewelry, which I think works. Um, I think the hand makes me crazy. John
I got your
Kaminsky would
delicate hands.
give me a hard time about that because I'm always teasing him. But I'd be inclined to probably crop it right here and make it just
Oh,
about her, which is totally okay because it's supposed to be about the necklace anyway. So
okay.
I would just cut it right here and make it a portrait instead of a landscape shot.
Okay. And get her hand
And
into there?
yeah, I would just take it out. Mostly, and you did good with the finger information. The problem is that half of her hand is behind this door mirror, whatever
Mhm.
she's holding on to. So we're losing the ring in the pinky finger. So she's like, basically what she's doing is she's shooting you the okay symbol. Okay. um,
Everyone saw that.
so I don't think that there's anything important about what's here. And I don't think that the hand is strong enough to be adding an element that I think if you cut it right here, and you can see like just putting your hand up to the screen, it'll totally work and
Yeah.
it'll draw you in because it pulls in, so it'll make the necklace even more of a focal point.
Okay. I like it better. I
Yeah.
just
Um,
covered it up. It looks better.
you might go in too and just do a really, really soft vignette, particularly at the bottom, because she's got a lot of information
Oh,
going on in the necklace and the lace and the beading. So if the necklace is the point and we're looking at just the jewelry and not the costuming, toning down a little bit here and darkening, and also maybe creating a new layer or cutting out the necklace. And it doesn't have to be like you don't have to go in and cut through every little detail, but I would go in and just select right around here and create a new layer, and then I would soften everything around it. I would blur it just slightly, and then what you do is you keep this at 100%, and then say change your brush to like 70-60% opacity, and then soften around so that you add a little more blur and a little more blur. So it's sharpened here, and then it gets softer as it goes out. So you would keep all of her face and her hair, but you would end up softening just these details so that they're in, but they're not quite as sharp as the necklace, so that they don't compete, particularly here, here, and here.
Okay.
Is competing with the necklace for top billing, because you have this beautiful blue color and you have all this interesting, intricate little lace work and the catch of the light with the jewels. It's competing with it. And this is where you being the photographer becomes you being the art director. She can have her ideas all she wants and she can give input, but once you get on set, you're going to have to learn how to get firm and go, okay, you need to let me work now.
Okay.
And just let me do my thing. And then when I'm done, we'll talk and see if there's anything else that you would like me to add in, but let me work. Because when people are shooting over your shoulder, you worry about them and you focus on their energy instead of your energy and connection with the model, which will also help the models relax a lot more. Little things when you're doing jewelry is that, especially if it's a pendant kind of necklace, it's either on her skin or on the outfit. You don't cut lines.
Okay.
So it's a divider. It's like having a pole sticking out of someone's head or the horizon line going through their ears kind of thing. It creates too much visual contrast and it's too easy for the eyes to wander away from the focal point and go elsewhere.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but again, this is me giving you feedback for the next time you do it. Like, don't let me make you self-conscious or not confident about showing these images to the client too, because I'm sure she's going to love them.
Okay.
Okay, tell me about this one.
So this is another one from the shoot. This was for the jewelry and the necklace, and she's got like an elf ear piece, which kind of got a little lost in the shadows. I did try to pull it out, but it didn't quite work so well. But I thought it was nice for the necklace. And it was supposed to be more of like a Renaissance type look is what they were going for. And the one thing that the artist liked about this particular model and why she chose her is because her 3/4 kind of profile is what she liked. So that's what we tried to do with that. So I thought it was pretty. I thought it kind of felt like portraity. Like that's what I felt when I looked at it. But I don't know what you think.
Okay, so one, it seems like the focal point is on the eyelashes and the eyebrows up here. So the necklace is a little bit out of focus, actually, which is no when we're shooting product. So I would go in, and again, I just go in and kind of loosely select around it and sharpen it a little bit, and then just go in with your eraser on like a 0% hardness and just soften the edges of your cutout. Like you don't have to sit and like hand select all the way around every single little chain link. Just enough to sharpen it up and kind of fade it in. You might consider doing some, and again, it's great for you to do both. Like if you have a client that's very hands-on and knows what they want and is more like me, you know, they'll make you crazy too. But so it's good to go, okay, great, I'll do that. But then take creative license as the artist and get your shots, and 9 times out of 10 they buy your shots because this is your area of expertise. Hers is making jewelry. You know, it's not. Actually, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I had edited a bunch of photos, and I'd looked for like where the jewelry was the sharpest, where it was in the most focus, and like what I thought was really good. And when I sent them to her, she's like, "Oh, actually, I thought you were going to send me all of them so that I could pick which ones I wanted you to edit and save time. And I don't like her face in this because it looks like she's scared, and I don't like this one." And I was like, oh.
So these are all ones that she picked?
I went through and I picked which ones I like. This was just for my level 13, and I was like, well, I like her face in this one, and I think this is a good one. And it did throw me off that she was like, her comments, I wasn't quite as sure of my picking ability of photos. But that's why I chose that one, because I thought her face looked better, and I thought that she would be kind of happier with that.
Okay.
It was very hard to read which ones she liked. I sent her a bunch, but
Okay. So usually I'd say like a hybrid of the two.
complicated to work with her.
Yeah, I'd say a hybrid of the two. I used to select all of the pictures and that was all they would get and I would get the same question. So usually what I do now is I just narrow down to anything I'm willing to put my name on. Like if I
Oh.
hate it, it does not even go in front of them. Like don't let them bully you into posting an image because this is your brand too, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So let's say you take 200 photos throughout the day for this shoot. I would go in and I would cull down to no more than 100. You cut out half the selection. So the ones that you're happy with and willing to put your name on. And then if you pick from those ones, then you know that anything that she's picking is something she likes, but you're still giving an over dominating client who very understandably, this is her work and her brand, and she's hiring you to help her sell her jewelry. So it has to be in line with what she wants too.
Mm-hmm.
But she's already picking from pre-selected images from you. So maybe she picks her top 20, which is only, a fifth of the images that she has presented before her, but they're the ones that best represent her brand, and they're already ones that you're okay putting your name on.
Oh, that's a brilliant idea, because I was like, she did pick some that I was just like, oh my God, the model's not, some of them were awful. They were so dark. It was just stuff that I didn't want. I didn't like, I'm like, don't even bother tagging me in it. Like, it's fine. You just take it and go. Like,
Yeah.
so that's
Um,
a much better idea, to give her the ones that I would be comfortable editing, and then she can just choose. I like
yeah.
that idea.
And really, like, I don't know exactly how you have your things set up, but if she's picking, like, how many images did she end up deciding on?
She gave me a list of probably like 10, 15 that she liked, but she didn't give me the right file names. Like, she just said, I don't even know how she
Yeah.
was looking at them. So I need to,
Okay. So she picked about 15. How many would you say you gave her to choose from?
which ones do it was, so if
Okay.
that makes any sense. It's a very, I've worked with her before, and I've done like this is kind of a deal that I'm doing for her, because it's promotion for me. This kind of how she's paying me, but am I getting paid a little bit of money, and I get a jewelry piece out of it, which I'm going to hopefully make into a photo shoot.
Okay.
But it's kind of one of those like work in progress things, because we're going to do another shoot because she wants more images for her website.
Good. That's good because you're dealing with the same kind of client. Because
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say it in a negative way because some of the clients can be really overbearing and just wearing on you.
Mm-hmm.
But it's them just being decisive about how they want to represent their brand, which is ultimately what they're coming from. So
Oh, totally.
you have to understand both sides of it. And usually the photographers that are like, they're such a bridezilla or they're so impossible to deal with, that's them not understanding that they messed up.
Mm-hmm.
Or that's something that they're doing, like handing over all the images and then complaining that she's picking all the bad ones that are bad photography. But,
Mm-hmm.
they're representing something. And I've had my clients do that too. Like they'll pick the one where their waist is small, regardless of the fact that the flash didn't fire and there's motion noise and, like everything that could be wrong is wrong about the image. They'll pick it because they look like a size 2 when they're a size 8.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have a different set of priorities, and the photography quality is actually usually second or third on the list of what causes them to create an image. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I think that that's probably a good balance. But if she picked 10 or 15 and you gave her, how many did you say you gave her to choose from?
I sent her probably like, oh gosh, probably like 40 now. Yeah, maybe 40.
Okay. So she picked about 25%, you
Yeah.
know? So I would say Was that all of the images? Did you only take 40 images throughout the day, or how many would you?
No, well, oh gosh, I took probably like 16 gigs worth. Like we did a ton. And what I did was I sent her like blocks of them. Like I was like, okay, well, here's her set, and then this is the other model. This is all of her set. And then she kind of went through, and like I said, she's the artist that I'm working with. She's also doing several projects at once, so she sometimes is a little hard to read. So
Right.
she's fabulous. So she's the coolest jewelry, and she's just a really amazing person. But she kind of saw, like, I'd send them to her on Dropbox just as like small JPEGs, and she just kind of went through them and was like I like this one and this one and this one and this one. And I really wish I'd cut out the bad ones. I don't know why I didn't think that. I think I was so frazzled with the fact that she was like, oh, I didn't like the one you chose and I want to see them all, that I was just like, oh, well, here's all of them, instead of being like,
Well, yeah,
here's the ones that I
because
want you to see.
well, yeah, because it's a rejection thing and a need to please. Like,
Uh-huh.
you went, oh no, she doesn't like it. I have to give her something she likes. I'll just show her all of them because maybe she likes what I don't like. I remember going through all of that too. And that's just one, it's being new, and two, it's just a lack of confidence because you're in unfamiliar water, both with,
Mm-hmm.
client interactions and because you're being really bold with the kind of style that you're doing and moving out of and trying new things. So that's totally understandable. I'm totally okay with that. And some of it's just inexperience. Like I've done everything. I've given them only the images that I wanted to edit because I know best, and had unhappy clients for that. And then I gave them everything, and then they wouldn't make a decision because there was too many images. Like it is a fine balance. So you know, it's both. I would say your first priority is to protect yourself and your image as a photographer. Go through and take out anything that you don't want your name on. Because if you
Mm-hmm.
have the feeling that you're like, okay, have it, just take it, don't even tag me in it, that image should not be out there. Because
Mm-hmm.
when somebody goes, who took that? Whether it's, oh my God, who took that? Or who took that?
Mm-hmm.
Your name is still going to come up in the conversation. So if you're not proud of it, don't put it before them. You
Mm-hmm.
get first rights. You're the first filter. So I would say you know, if you take 200 images, you should, however many images you take, I would say that you probably end up cutting down at least half of those.
Mm-hmm.
Like every other image, like especially if you're shooting, like if you have 10 shots of her with the necklace and they're all this basic kind of composition, it's your job to pick the best three,
Okay.
from this, and then let her pick which one she likes from there,
Mm-hmm.
with as much variety as possible. So if she's looking off in this one, and then in the next one, she's looking dead on the camera, and in the next one, she's looking down to the floor, like give some variation. You don't want 3 frames that look exactly the same, but they're still obviously part of the same set.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
It does. It makes perfect
Okay.
sense.
So some things that we should be paying attention to. There's a lot of information going on around her. This is a really pretty backdrop, but it's very distracting
Mm-hmm.
as a whole because it overpowers. One, it's got little glittery things. So those
Mm-hmm.
little highlights grab attention. You've got like all these little fireworks going off around her.
Mm-hmm.
Two, it's sharp focus. I think you need to pay attention to your aperture, and I would really work on shooting at much shallower depths of field because you don't need all this information.
Okay.
Like her face is beautiful, and the necklace. And are you a tripod shooter or are you handheld?
This was handheld. Was this handheld? Yes, it was handheld. I did have
Okay.
a tripod that day, so some were on a tripod, some were handheld.
Okay. If you're comfortable doing both, I can't shoot on a tripod to save my life. It makes me feel like a leash dog. I just can't. But if you're comfortable shooting on a tripod and you do both, with the model, I would do one where the focal point is on the eyes because the eyes always sell the story for the person. And
Mm-hmm.
then I would take another one at the same exact height and place and just like 2 shots, but put the focal point on the necklace pieces. So here you would have 3. It would be 1, 2, 3. as your sharp things. That way, if necessary, you can go in and composite the shots so that you have the three important elements sharp, or you have the ability to focus. So maybe this shot is just about the necklace, even though the earpiece is in it, and the next shot is just about the earpiece.
Google just cut you out there. Could you?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So I would say that if you're on a tripod, that you're taking 3 frames for every shot. So one is with the focal point on the eyes, one is with the focal point on the necklace, and one is with the focal point on the earpiece. That way you could either composite all 3 into the same shot with tack sharpness on all of them, so we're not getting that sort of soft focus and losing some of the element. And you have your choice about what is being featured. The model should not be the feature. If it's wardrobe or jewelry or product, you know, she's almost like, she's like a coat rack basically for the jewelry, you know, a very pretty one. But she shouldn't be, the focus in there. And right now, most of the highlight is on her face. So this is a portrait, not a jewelry shot. You can almost get away with it here, except for we lost the focus and we're tack sharp on our eyes. So you want to keep looking at her face. So the model's going to love this shot, you know, because it's a beautiful shot of her and it's well lit. And, you know, you have these beautiful catch lights in her eyes and you're featuring her. It's not going to sell as a jewelry shot for any kind of high end kind of store. And one of the best ways for you to get an idea of what you're doing is, if you're doing more jewelry work for this girl, go look at the jewelry stores. You know, go find fashion magazines and look at how they're featuring jewelry, you know. And another thing to do to get on the same page with your girl, since she likes to be super involved, is have her create a Pinterest board of jewelry advertisements that she loves from other people, and tell her to go big or go home, like Cartier, Tiffany's, you know, like you want the A-listers, you want to be, you know, amazing in the results, then you look at who the best players are in the game, you know? So those are a couple of things. 2, if you're doing any kind of feature, make sure that what's being featured is in the light. So again, it was a very simple fix of, you know, your lights over here because of the catch lights, bringing it over to this side of her and having her face almost fall into the shadow a little bit would have been fine, because we would have highlighted the ear cuff here and we could have still caught the necklace. Or having her turn towards the light, if she's got ear cuffs available for either ear, if we'd taken her face and turned her chin down to this shoulder and exposed the ear on this side, then we would have had the ear and the necklace in perfect light and her face to the side. Then she would have became the prop that was holding the jewelry. Okay. Yeah. So light always differentiates what the focus of the image is. The brightest part of the image will always grab people's visual attention. It's essentially you're spotlighting what's important. Okay, tell me about this one. Google is awful today.
Sorry, Google just cut you out again.
I know, Google's awful today. Tell me about this one.
So this is just another one that we did. The artist had this red cloak that I thought was fabulous. And this was a quick one. We did another one where the model has like this white hair and this crazy headpiece and the red eyes, and those are contacts that were brilliant. But I really liked this one. I thought it was really, you know, gothic-y, which kind of went with the feel because it's more of a gothic, well, it's steampunk jewelry. So, and I thought that the red in the necklace was picked up well in the cloak and the lips and the eyes. And I just thought it was really pretty, and I really liked it. Yeah. I did work on her hands. I tried to get her to turn them so that they were delicate. So I did work on that. I was like, turn them. I hope it's successful.
The hands work good in this one. I like this one a lot. This one could have turned just a little bit more, but it's not bad enough for me to wrap your knuckles about it. Pun intended. The only things that jump out at me from the negative, I would go in and I would retouch out the tattoo here. I think that's competing with the necklace.
Okay.
So that would go just flesh. And this highlight that we have going on is a little bit overdone here. It's just a little uneven. So we have the shadow under where the bone structure should be for the cheekbone, which is fine. And then you go up to this highlight, and it might be makeup or just the way the light hit it, but then there's like another line here.
Okay.
And
yeah,
then the rosiness of the cheek. So when we're zoomed out, it's like two stripes, and it's making her cheek look a little misshapen. So I would go in and I would just touch this out a little bit and just bring the color a little bit closer to this and this and see if you can get rid of that. So you get a nice rounded light effect. Because right now it looks like somebody hit her last night.
Oh, okay.
Other than that, make sure that you're retouching the whole way down. So we have, you know, all this light and skim retouching here, but we left the lines on the neck. The lines on the neck are always age and fat lines, neither of which any woman has ever asked me to add to. So necklines can always go when you're retouching, especially for beauty work. And especially if the focus is on the jewelry, which is going around the neck. You want to give her as long and slender a neck as possible. The jewelry works great here. It's tack sharp. I think you're right. The color theory is wonderful and beautiful here, and everything accentuates. Did she have contacts in, or did you do this in post with the eyes?
I wish I did it in post. It was contacts.
Okay. So I love the contacts and the red.
They're pretty cool.
Eyes. But I think they're just a little bit oversaturated. And the colors just slightly off. So I might go in and select the eyes and just tone them down a little bit. I think they need to go a little bit more towards purple, just to kind of match the color exactly to the cape, because the darker colors in the cape match the necklace. So you have like different hues of red, which is why it's just a little off and looks a little fake. I think if we tone it down just a little, that'll make a difference. I don't mind the stray hairs on this side. I think the little baby curls are cute, but I would probably go in and retouch out just from like this hairline forward. Those would probably go, because we have enough of the color here that we're getting like this little weird shadow effect of red. That almost looks almost rash-like, but the rest of it doesn't bother me. I'm not a big stickler for like stray hairs, because I think it looks fake when it's too perfect. So like I like these little baby curls on either side, but just a couple of them here would go. And maybe this one too. Either I might take it and actually pull it down and off the side of her face, but it stops short like right at the edge here, and it's a really harsh line for a thick couple of strands of hair. That one grabs my attention too.
So just to Photoshop it like into the cloak, kind of?
Yeah, like I would probably take this one and just like, I'd just grab it and pull it over. Or clone it. But yeah, it's just these necklines here and a little bit on the cheek here that I would touch up. I think the rest of it works. The rest of it looks pretty good. The lighting's beautiful on it. I love the catch lights. Her mouth is a little tight, but that might not be her mouth as much as the strong line of the lips, accentuating it. But I definitely think that this one works as a whole. The expression and the connection is way better here. Here, I think she's got a little bit of like the dead mannequin kind of look. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. A lot of fashion, designers and jewelry, when they're working with really high-end photographers for high-end ad campaigns, they want that kind of dead look because it distracts away from the viewer, so that the viewer looks elsewhere because he can't make a connection with the model. So that actually works, but here it's just a little bit too vague, especially since the eyes are so beautifully lit. And she has stunning eyes, and the makeup's accentuating that. So you want to be able to appreciate him. So I feel like it's a little lacking here. Like if she had looked over to the camera and we'd had this kind of connection, I think it would have been a stronger image.
Okay.
Same thing like here. I think especially if she's nervous or she's self-conscious, one of the easiest ways to get rid of that energy visually is to just have them look down and away. Because you
Okay.
get this really nice, soft kind of feminine look, and you always have them look towards something you want the viewer to pay attention to. So it might have been just pulling your hand off of that door and having her just touch the edge of the necklace and look down at it. That would have told the story and told the viewer what to do.
Okay.
Here it's just the light on the face. That's my biggest
I know, and that was
out
the
there.
best one I had, which I was
Yeah.
like, oh, and I felt bad because I really wanted to give the model stuff because like they did it for free. Oh no, I guess they got jewelry out of it, but you know, they're really looking forward to the photos, so I really wanted to give them something like
I still think that they're probably going to be happy with them. Like, I don't think any of them are lost causes, but I do think that they're learning images. I think these are the ones that you'll come back to in another year and be like, I was so proud of these at the time. Like, I have them all the time. I love going back and looking at what was good then. You know, but it's still like if you go back and you look at your level 4 and your level 9 critiques, like, there's so much growth, and that's really what I want to like have you focus on. Like, don't get discouraged at all because you're making just strides forward, like at an amazing speed. So I think in another year, if you keep putting the dedication that you've had in the last couple of weeks towards it and you keep working, I think you'll be exactly where you want to be in terms of what you're getting. The rest of them are little things. Like next time you go shoot outside, you will pay attention to which way her head is facing as far as the light. Like, and you don't know to do that until you do it wrong. Like I would never have made that recommendation if you had just happened to turn her head that way and caught it by accident, you know, because that's what it would have been at that point. It would have been a happy accident that you just turned her that way instead of the other rather than a conscious choice. But the next time you see weird lines of light, you'll be like, oh, no, go that way, you know? So it's good. It's good to be learning. And especially if you have a good deal going with this girl and you're getting jewelry and you're both working and adding to your portfolios, and marketing, like that's awesome. Like use it for all it's worth. For your next session with her, I would definitely say color the images yourself and, hand her anything that you're happy at. And don't be afraid to dig in your heels a little bit. Like you have your area of expertise as well. So it's okay for you to go, trust me, these are the best ones, you know. And it's also okay to not to lie. I never condone lying to your clients, but it's okay to, you know, explain it in a way. If you feel the need to justify the fact that you're not giving her all of them, go, look, I just go through them. I get rid of any of the ones that are blurry, that the flash didn't fire, that, you know, she blinked, she's making that like Beyonce Super Bowl face, you know, like those ones go, and you have all of the good ones to choose from. But it usually makes for happy clients when they feel like they have a hand in it and they spend more money. I have found absolutely that of all the different ways that I've tried to run my business, in terms of what they pick, when they feel like they're picking the final images, they have more of an emotional attachment to them. So I'm throwing stuff at my cat.
I lost my note.
So if, you know, if you narrow it down to 50 and she picks her top 15 from that, she'll be like, okay, I got exactly what I wanted and what I needed for my business and my purposes, which are different, you know, and you can still absolutely pick any of the others that she didn't pick that are fitting your business and what you want to showcase as your ability to attract clients. Because what you show is what you will get hired for, unequivocally. So it's okay for those to not be in proportion. Like it's okay for her to have certain images on her website and you be okay with them. And then for you to have others, on yours as well and go back and forth from that. So it's a trade-off with it. Make sure that with jewelry that they're out, make sure that the lines aren't cutting them. If this is the pendant of it, you want to make sure it's either below so that it's completely below the fabric, or like if it happens to sit like right at it, do one of two things. Like either it's a cleavage shot and you pull it down so that you have the skin, but don't let it sit like on the line.
Okay.
Same thing. If you're doing earpieces and jewelry, it makes a huge difference even looking at my headset, whether it's on this ear or this ear, because the light from my screen is here. So the light that you are working with is here. So you're not going to be able to get it and pull it off enough no matter where you go. This will never be as strong as this will, you know, just because of the way that the light picks. So just pay attention to where the light is in relation. Same thing with the necklace. It's going to make a big difference just having her shifted a little, no matter how pretty the light is or what you're doing, as opposed to if you turn it towards the light. So just pay attention where your light is in relation, and remember that you're mostly doing portraits. So you're thinking like a portrait photographer, but she's a chair, you know, so you have to kind of treat her the same way. Like, you know, you can have a beautiful Victorian chair that you have a gorgeous model on. But the chair's nothing. It's all about the girl. It's just a pretty drape. Did I lose you again? Did we freeze? I'll wait. I can't win. There we go. Are we back? Ah, Google hates me. All right. Well, I think that's a sign to draw to close. Let me see what I can do. There you go. Erin joined. Let me check that in. Can you hear me, Erin? Boo. It's on your end. It's not mine. So this is the part where we sit and we just make funny faces until Google figures their shit out, because you suck. And then I sing about coffee. Dun, 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 dun. And that's probably Erin messaging me saying, Google did it again. There we go.
Yay!
That's
I don't
okay.
know what's making tonight.
It's gonna be fun for the rewatch because I just haven't made faces at myself for the last 2 minutes. Okay, what did you hear last? No! Fired. Maybe different device.
Oh. There we go.
Okay. Let's try up at the top there's like the little bar thing, maybe turning down the bandwidth. That might help because then it's not transferring as much information.
Okay.
So
turned it down very low.
Okay. So it's nice. It's like having like a skin filter on then because everything's blurry. Okay, so I think that you did really good. Please don't get discouraged by any of the critique because it's just a help for the future.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hang on 1 second. I should have did this while you were off line. But if I don't let my cat out, she's gonna like tear the door down.
I understand.
They run the house. They really do.
Oh, totally. Mine were banging at the door earlier, but now they've decided to go like sit down.
Okay, so I think it'll be really helpful if you're gonna do more jewelry work to go look at jewelry ads. Okay. You know, and I wouldn't necessarily limit it to just jewelry. Like purses are a good one. Any kind of accessories, sunglasses, you know, hats, those kind of things. Even fashion and clothes, just to get a feel for how to showcase what it is that you're showing as the star of the image and make the person second. Because it's like, for me, like I have beautiful Victorian furniture. It's gorgeous green couch. Everybody wants to be shot on it when they come here. But the couch is nothing. It's all about the girl. It's just something to drape her across. You have to learn to think that way about your person, which is really hard to get into that mode when you're a portrait photographer, because 90% of the time you're shooting for the person. So learning to make her essentially a prop or a piece of furniture for the star of the image is going to probably take a little bit of adjusting time to you. Mm-hmm. But honestly, I think it would have been way better than my first attempt. So leaps and bounds. What was on your list of questions, and what do you want to chat about while you have my undivided attention?
Well, so the same jewelry artist. So I used to work with her when I had an art studio with a friend. So we did green screen photography where we photoshopped people into different backgrounds and did all kinds of crazy stuff. And this was when the girl that I worked with, who's one of my best friends, she was the Photoshop artist, and she's fabulous. And I was the photographer, and we worked really well together. So now that I'm living back in the city, she moved away, so that's why we closed our business, and I'm trying to kind of go it on my own. So the jewelry artist that I'm working with, she does several shows. So she does these like, she's doing one this next weekend called the Spring Equinox. So they're going to have cosplayers, and they're going to have demos, and they're going to have people that live action play D&D are going to be there, and like, like really geeky stuff. It's fabulous, I have to say. They're going to have vendors selling artwork, and she wants me to do event photography. A lot of the stuff I end up doing is for free for her. So I'll be going in and spending the whole weekend doing the event photography and running her Instagram page and that sort of thing. But I know it's kind of one of those, she's a good person to know in the province because she's
No, come back.
oh,
There we go. Try again.
okay, perfect. So I'm doing this event photography this next weekend for pretty much free. And
For
she's
free
getting
for
a
her.
yes, yeah, and she's getting some really good deals on the stuff that I did because I spent hours on that stuff, and she's getting, it is a mutual thing, but like
What's in it? What's in it for you?
for the jewelry photos, I get $200 hopefully at some point, and $200 worth of jewelry.
Okay, then it's not
The
for free. It's for
Yeah,
$400. I'm
yeah,
totally fine with that. Money doesn't have to exchange hands. Value does.
yeah.
So I'm totally okay. Like I'm shooting a wedding for free, which I usually do 8 to 12,000. But the groom came the entire year my husband was deployed and did all of our lawn work. Um, because they volunteer to do that for military families. And I have a couple of acres. So that was such an enormous stress relief. Taking wedding photos for a day is like nothing. And he's
Mhm.
looking at it going, oh my God, your wedding photography is thousands of dollars. All I did was cut the grass. Like, so I think that when both people feel that way, like piece of cake, pictures for an entire year of you taking care of my lawn. Yes, absolutely. That's a great deal for me. That should be how both sides of the party feel.
Mhm.
So if you're looking at it and going, well, I'm kind of getting some jewelry and that's cool, but she's really making out on it, then it's not mutually beneficial right now. It's
Well,
it's definitely sided. So we got to find a way to even that out. Now, one of the interesting things is that it doesn't necessarily have to be evened out by her. So if you're going and shooting this entire event and you and her have this deal and you're getting jewelry and she's an old friend and you want to work for free for her, that's fine. How else can you monetize being at that event, and who are your other potential clients that you can work with?
well, part of what I'm doing, because she does panels, so we're gonna do a talk.
No. This is it. I'm so glad this is my last one because Google's just sucked all day. You suck, you suck, you suck. Google just doesn't want me to talk business. This is truth. This is truth. And I don't know what to do for you. Let me see. Is that better? Let's see if we can get her in now. Sorry, guys. It's not my fault, I swear. No bueno.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. It's been Google all day. I couldn't get on with Julian for half an hour this morning.
Oh.
And then it wouldn't let me start the broadcast. Like Google must be updating or changing something, which sucks. So you're being a trooper. Okay, so my only recommendation, the only thing I can think of is if you get booted again, maybe try on your phone as opposed to a computer. Sometimes that works better. I don't know why.
I've got my phone right here, so I will.
Okay. So you're going to the event, and that was the last thing I heard.
So a part of what she wants is panels at this thing, so people will talk about different things. So I'm doing one with a cosplayer who's awesome. I'm really excited to meet her, and I'm hoping that maybe that'll forge a connection where I can get more cosplayer photography out of it because they're really awesome costumes. So we're going to talk about, like, be safe with your photographer, meet in a public place if you don't know them. They ask you to do something you don't like, don't do it. But also, like, be respectful if you're getting photos from people, like that sort of thing, like just kind of a chat. So I've got business cards that I've got updated with my current city and everything like that to hopefully pass out, that if anybody wants to talk to me, I'm hoping that maybe it'll drum up some business. I'm doing a free demo of photography there because she asked if I'd bring my background and just do photos on a white background. So I'm going to do that and then just edit the photos and give them to her, so it won't be because I think it would be too much to try to composite them into backgrounds for free, especially if there's a lot of people. I feel like that could get out of hand really, really quickly.
I agree, probably not on the day, but I would say if everybody's coming to the booth, I wouldn't be giving them to her because what does she need them for? Are they putting on her jewelry?
No, she's going to use them as promotion. So she runs two different businesses. So she runs the jewelry business, and then she also runs this kind of trade show business where she does these events. It's kind of complicated. So she does...
Come back, Erin. There we go.
Okay. So she does a Christmas event. She does the spring one. She's doing another fairy tale one, which is the other thing that I wanted to ask you about. So she uses these as promotion. So that's what she wants them for. That's why she asked me to do a demo of, like, getting people to get really into their poses and that sort of thing to make it more interactive.
Are you getting paid for that part?
No.
Okay, no. So then I would not be necessarily giving her them for free, or giving them to her for free is one thing. But I would strongly, strongly consider creating an online album that people can go to and buy the digitals for them, even if they're $1 as a trade show special kind of thing. If they're coming and they're in cosplay outfits and they're playing and they're doing all of this, them being able to purchase images of them in cosplay is a good thing. If not, then I would definitely make it the kind of thing where you're building your social media. So if you're not getting paid today, make it so that you can get paid tomorrow. So if they're coming in front and they're getting the pictures, have them connect with you on Facebook right then and there, or G Plus or Twitter, whatever your preferred social media is. For me, it's always Facebook because they can tag and we can go back and forth. Take the picture, and if you can do it and upload them, you know, having them like go to like, I don't know, do you have Target? Go to some store and get like a little whiteboard and have them write down like at so and so for their fan pages. If they're cosplay actors and models, you know, chances are that they have it. So have them write it, take one shot of them holding the whiteboard with their name, and then take their cosplay shot so that you can go tag them later, which gets all of their people to go to your social media and all of their followers, which half of which are probably other cosplayers that didn't make it to that event, you know, and branch out your social media that way. But that way,
That's
any of the
brilliant.
really amazing shots that you have, you can go do that.
Okay, that's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah, do something. But that's a really easy way. If you have them hold it with their name, then you know exactly who's who. You can go and find them. You have the exact address link. You know, it makes it really easy to connect with him rather than uploading an album or having her upload an album and passive aggressively just hoping that they're going to come across the images and happen to see the post. Like it's a lot more forthcoming and focused for building.
Okay, cool. So then the other thing is, so she just messaged me the other day. So she's always doing kind of like these. Oh, there you are.
Okay.
This is my last question, I swear.
She's always doing these.
So she's doing these events. So there's another one called a fairy tale event. So she wants Harry Potter styled shoots done with kids. So she's going to get a robe and she's going to have like a wand and that sort of thing. And she wants me to create these backgrounds. At first she's like, oh, you can just put like Buckbeak in it. And I was like, no, I cannot take somebody else's art at all. I've kind of come up with a workaround that I could use some of the backgrounds from my previous business and just ask my friend if I'd give her like a share of whatever, you know, a piece of it. So I'm using artwork from our old business.
Technically, you're skirting around dangerous territory in general.
Oh, I know.
Because technically you can't do it. Even cosplay can't really dress up as characters. Like it's such a like gray area, but
it totally is.
Cosplay fans dressing up is one thing. You or her monetizing off of somebody else's copyrighted material is another.
I know.
So there was a model friend of mine that was dressing up as Elsa, and she looked beautiful, and she spent like $300-400 on her Elsa costume so that it looked authentic and the wig and everything. And she got a cease and desist from Disney. And she's, you know, like she's no one. Like it's not like she's working at any big thing. They just found it online and she got a cease and desist in the mail that, you know, so it is a legitimate fear. Two, it is an element of respect. Like, how would you feel if somebody was taking all your work? Because I got to tell you, when people start taking the reliquarian, first I'm going to feel accomplished, then I'm going to be mad. You know?
Yeah, so I understand. Well, yeah. I think I would. But, and that's the thing, like, I was like, I know, like, we have, because I will never use anything that it's somebody else's artwork. Like, I never want to do that. So it's like, well, as Dragonfly, which was my previous we created castle backgrounds, we created magical physical forests, we created like all these things just out of our imaginations. Like they're free, like they're all made of our own images, they're all like, and it's stuff that I'm pretty sure my friend is going to be fine with me using. And then if she wants to have kids photoshopped in them, that's what we used to do anyways. Mm-hmm. She wanted me to have a printer there and sell the prints for $10 a print. And I was like, I don't know that I could physically, as a one-woman show, shoot them, edit them, and then get them printed and then sell them for $10. And I was
Um,
like, oh,
I mean, you can, you just have to be really pointed about the way that you're doing it. I don't know that you could do it as a one moment show. So if she really wants that one, you're getting a portion of that, correct?
well, she's like, you could have all the money. And she's like, you can charge whatever you want to charge. Now, like my thinking on it was photographing the kids, getting emails from the parents, because I'll have to have an assistant there because it's just too crazy if it gets busy. So having a friend take their names, their emails, writing out the invoices, or not the invoices, but like the receipts, and then emailing them a digital copy.
Who is your website with right now?
My website is with Squarespace.
Okay. Do you have the option to connect right to a print lab?
No. I was
Okay,
looking at
so
Zenfolio actually because they actually have a Canadian printing company to be
okay.
cheaper.
Which'll work fine. I have SmugMug, but I gotta tell you, if I was gonna try to do that all in one, I would be uploading them directly to the album and letting the parents log on and print right from there on their own, and just having your assistant with a tablet or a laptop with Wi-Fi that they could connect and do it. Or yes, when I do the Giving Tree sessions, we take the print orders that day and then we ship them to them. So we do it right after Thanksgiving so that I have enough time to go through and edit, but they see the images right away. So we do like 40 sessions in a weekend, and literally it's, hi, how are you? Let me take you upstairs to Jess in the studio. They come up, they get shot. I have 3 sets upstairs. I'll spend 20 to 30 minutes shooting them, bring them back downstairs with the card, and switch cards with one of my assistants. Meanwhile, my assistant downstairs will load them all up, sit down with the parents and go, which one do you like? Oh my God, my little girl. And then that's when I know I'm making money. So they handle it. They do all of the orders and put in exactly what they're ordering, and they can order anything from holiday greeting cards to wall prints. And then while they're sitting down and going through, I'm already upstairs with the next parent. And then we have a third station that's all like arts and crafts and stuff for the kids and gingerbread houses and things like that. So if I was going to do it at a trade show, I think you have 2 options. Either one, you set up your lights perfectly, which means you're probably there an hour before it opens testing it. And you hook up directly to a printer that you can print wirelessly to, because depending on your camera, you can probably do that, or you can tether up right to it. But it's the kind of thing that if you shoot tethered and the parents can see the image on the screen right there, and they can go, oh my God, I love that. Yes. But you're think a lot. I don't know if they do this in Canada, but like Christmas and Easter here, like you can go to the local mall and there's like Santa Claus, and they're always like, they take it and they give you a 5x7. Like that's the kind of way you have to shoot to be able to do it at those events. And you'll make a lot more money if you do have the prints right there that they can leave with. Even if you do it in a way like amusement parks around here, they'll have it and you can go get it at the end of the day. Like there's all kinds of people taking pictures, and at the end of the day, you can go and pick up your prints on your way out from the park kind of thing. So it might be like the come do it, and in an hour come select your prints, or the second half of the day you can come back and buy your prints, And so I would do it, and then I would just load them all into a slideshow that's showing on that screen for people passing by. So the people that are forgetting are like, oh my God, that's right. Look how cute. Okay, we had to buy it, And you're going again. Oh, I heard news. All right, I quit.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Okay. My really big concern is that if I photograph them on a white screen, because that's what I'll be photographing, because I don't have a set, I just have like backgrounds. So I photograph them on the background. Even cutting it out, I'm still a little slow at it. I'll have to practice over the next couple of weeks and try to get a little faster.
Don't cut them out. Go buy a background and get a couple of props and set it up. Think simply. It's not a full portrait. If they would like to come in for the full portrait with the composite and the full sets, have a couple examples of what the work can be. This is a mini version of that. that is the hook to get them in to spend money with you outside of that event. Don't give it all away at this expo and kill yourself and stress yourself out trying to do all of this at once.
So
Go
just
buy,
build a set.
yeah, you know, and it's really simple. If you're doing Harry Potter theme, it could be as simple as having a stone wall that's part of Hogwarts Castle and a couple of books set up. Like, just pick an area that's easy to do, a couple of old books set up and around, or a bunch of boxes like you're in the wand store, or, you know, get a woodsy, dark, spooky background kind of thing like the Dark Woods. You know, figure out what you're doing. Have them come in, shoot them on the backdrop, beautiful lighting, cute little pictures of their kids playing dress up, you know, and then move it along, and then have some examples of your work. Albums are great, whatever your products are, and go, oh, well, we do the full session and we'll composite them into this fantasy background. And that's, you know, that's where you want to have the conversation with them about coming in and spending significant money with you. But you don't want to go through all that hassle for next to nothing for $10 an image.
I know,
You
that's
know?
what I was worried about. And I was like, is this a good thing? Am I like, because we've done this several times before, like when I was with the studio, like my friend and I did this several times, and we never really saw any money out of it or any business, really. So I was like, maybe I'm just approaching it wrong. Like maybe I'm just doing it wrong and I need to figure out how to do it correctly.
You are. You're putting in too much effort, time, and energy for not enough profit. $10 an image for a single print is a backdrop image. You know,
Okay.
it can be a beautiful backdrop. You can get a fine art printed backdrop. You can print your own. You can paint it. I don't care what you do. You can set up a nice little set, but set it up. The light stays the same. The background's the same. You pick the kid up and you put them in here, you know, and that's where it works. And the most you do is lower the lights because the kid is short, like in and out and all of the pictures. And if you want to print them right there, you know, and you have the ability to do that, shoot between two cards. If you can't shoot tethered directly to the computer where you can then send it, your assistant can send it to print, then have two cards in your camera so that you can hand the one off and your assistant can plug it in. And meanwhile, you can shoot the second kid so you can stay ahead of it, you know, and no more than like 5 minutes per kid. If the kid is crying, fix the child and then bring it back. Like, be cutthroat about it. But that's absolutely a selling opportunity for you to get them in for big, full sessions that make you lots of money. That's it. We're done. We have to have a better internet connection next time. I think maybe next week will go better. Are we done? Are you coming back? I'm gonna sit and talk to myself and drink my lonely coffee. And she's gone. And her icon's back. There we go. Her picture's sort of back. I thought you left me and we broke up. Just gonna sit here and keep talking nonsense to myself until your signal's better. So, I guess you can watch it on the rewatch if it's not going to go in, but my recommendation is going to be get a cute little printer, print 5x7s. You know, $5 to $10 is fine for the expo. You can easily clear still probably, if it's a big expo with several hundred people, probably $500 to $1,000. As long as you're fast with it. Speed is going to be key to keep you and them not stressful. And whoever your assistant is that you're bringing, I would have them come over to your place and I would test run it. Even if all you're doing is shooting a chair, just setting up, taking the pictures, handing off the card, seeing how long it takes them to load the card, send it to the printer, print it out, see what your time is so you know how many people you can do. Because what you don't want is a huge line where people are waiting 20 minutes. And that's about all that we have. And we've been going for over an hour and the connection sucks. So I'm going to sing to myself until you get back on and I can say goodbye and we'll do it again later. There we go. All right. Google's not my friend. Should I go buy a printer for the show, or does it make more sense to give the digital print? Digital print's easier. And are more beloved. With digital, though, if you're going to do the digital route, you can just load an online album. And do it on your social media rather than your website. And then if you do it on your social media rather than your website, then people can tag you, their friends, other businesses that were there. And they would have to contact you to get the download, which gives you the opportunity to talk to them about coming in full session. And that's all we got, folks. So Google's not working. We're going to call it a day. Thanks for tuning in. Those one or two of you that stuck with us for it. Hopefully the recording's okay. And I will see you later. Bye.